Hello, fight fans. I'm that boxing writer, Jeremy Heritages, and welcome to this edition of Boxing and Coffee. It is Wednesday, June 16th. I'm not the greatest with dates. That's why I wear a watch that tells me the date. And whoa, there is a lot going on in the world of boxing. Before we start our discussion today, make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel. Please make sure that you also hit that notification bell. That would help you guys find out every time I have a new video, every time there's an interview, anytime that I've got anything going on here, it'll let you know that. So thank you for everyone that continues to subscribe, watch the videos. It is greatly appreciated, and I'm very happy to have you as part of the That Boxing Writer family. Hopefully we can add on to the TBW family, keep growing this channel out, and keep talking about all things boxing. So it's been a little bit since I've talked to you guys. I wanted to do a reaction video on the YouTube TikTokers boxing event. I covered it, and the attention was definitely there. A lot of people read those articles, which shows me that, hey, these guys aren't going away anytime soon, and people want to watch them fight. And I was pleasantly surprised. It was actually the subject of my column this week, and it's called After the Fight. This week I talked about what it was like sitting back and watching the YouTubers versus TikTokers. So that's everything, all my reactions, everything I had to say about that event is in there. I think at this point a video on it would, it's kind of past its point. So that was kind of my final thoughts on it. But I was very pleased with what I saw, and I thought that it exceeded expectations. And had some very memorable moments. Shout out to FaZe Jarvis with that knockout punch. I think that was the knockout of the night. Whether you're talking amateur boxing, real boxing, whatever, it was nice. The main focus on this video is going to be about the Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder Staredown that we had yesterday. I'll talk about that in just a second. This weekend, on Friday, I'll have a preview video for all of the matchups this weekend, and I'll kind of take you through, hey, there's a lot of boxing going on. Now, one less, Teofimo Lopez tested positive for COVID-19, so his June 19th bout against George Kambosos is postponed. So we will not be seeing that on Triller pay-per-view this weekend. So that's one fewer fight card to break down. I hope that Teofimo Lopez is doing okay. I wish him a speedy recovery, and I feel bad for everybody involved because now it's being pushed back 2 months to August 14th. So everyone that was prepared to fight has 2 more months to sit back and get ready for this thing. So that, unfortunately, is not going to be the one that I'll be previewing on Friday. But I'll take you guys through all the weekend action and all that's going on there. Break time. Coffee. I don't get how people can't drink coffee in the morning. Man, without this stuff, I would be dead. I've tried to kick my coffee habit a couple times, and I've had some of the worst headaches in the world. I couldn't do it. I came back. It's caffeine addiction, I know. But it's so good. Anyway, so let's get to the main topic for today. The press conference that went down yesterday between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. This was billed as the one and only press conference that we're going to see between these two leading up to their fight on July 24th, which at this point I'm planning on going to. So unless things change, I should be there live. I was there live for the second bout, which was an interesting experience to say the least. The stories I have from that fight weekend, man, whoa, let me tell you something. But this stare down and this whole event has a lot of people talking for a lot of different reasons. The primary reason, Deontay Wilder really didn't speak. He had one comment at the very beginning where he basically threatened to decapitate Tyson Fury. It's rhetoric that he's used before, and I think we can all look at it as hyperbole, but it's still an odd thing to say. He said something along the lines of "off with his head." Yeah, and then he took a seat, put his headphones on, had his sunglasses on, and allowed Malik Scott to do all of the talking for him. He was not taking any questions. He was not engaging. And that's got a lot of negative reviews right now from people watching from afar. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Tyson Fury definitely had a comment for it. He saw it as an act of cowardice, the fact that he got into Deontay Wilder's head. And he saw Deontay Wilder's actions as that he's still in his head. That this is all, him recovering from being so badly psyched out in the second fight from what happened. And a lot of people saw it the same way. I'm looking at The Athletic's Mike Coppinger right here. He had two tweets in particular about it. The first one, Mike Coppinger says, "Bizarre stuff from Deontay Wilder. You have an obligation to promote the fight. All these wild accusations, and now he won't answer questions. He's sitting up there with headphones on silently. Fury says Wilder doesn't seem into the fight, mentally or emotionally." Then he quote tweeted his tweet, "My 2 cents, Wilder doesn't want to face the music after making every excuse in the book and tossing accusations at Fury." So that seems to be a popular take. Some other people out there have said the same thing. I know that Mike Coppinger is promoting that narrative. He had Ishe Smith who said something similar, and he retweeted that as well. And there is a logic to that yeah, he made a lot of accusations, and a lot of bad accusations in most people's minds. I mean, they're ludicrous. There's so many safeguards in place in boxing to assure that glove tampering can occur. The Athletic Commission gets the gloves, gets the hand wraps, all that stuff that's going on there. I don't think anything dirty was happening. I think those are a lot of conspiracy theories, but hey, conspiracy theories seem to be all the rage lately, don't they? So that's what I think. I think that's where they're coming from, but I think there are shades of gray here. I don't necessarily think it's that he doesn't want to address those questions, because all he'd have to say is, "Listen, I said what I said. On to the next question." He can pick and choose which questions he wants to answer and which questions he doesn't. He's got the freedom of choice here. Every fighter does. There's no obligation to answer every single question that comes your way. So I think that's a big part of it. So I don't entirely buy that line of thought. What I think, taking you into my experience here with Deontay Wilder, who for years I had numerous dealings with. I would call him an acquaintance. I feel that he's looking at the mistakes that he made last time. The mistakes that he made last time, he was all in on the promotion. He talked a whole bunch, and it didn't work out for him. I think that maybe he's looking at one of the mistakes was that he was overconfident, that he engaged in a war of words, and this time he doesn't want any of the words to have any meaning. He wants this to be all about the action in the ring. So I actually thought that this was a smart strategy on Wilder's part, or at least I can kind of see of where he's coming from, that, hey, last time I went full promotion. I had journalists in and out of my training camp every single day. I was given interviews. I was talking. My focus was hurt from all that. I wasn't focusing on training as much as I should because I was being torn in too many different directions. I was meeting my media obligations, and my focus was ruined. That's one way to look at it. And I saw that firsthand. I saw how many people he had going in and out of there. I saw different writers talking about, oh, you're going to be in there, I'm going to be in there. And it was a circus last time. So I think this time around, something that Malik talked about was Deontay building a training structure in his house. I think that was part of the focus. Keep everybody out. Nobody comes into this training camp. It's just us working, making sure that we're 100% focused, and nothing can detract from that. So in that sense, that's what I think he's going at. Listen, I don't want to talk. I don't want to get into words. Headphones, I'm focused. So I think that's what he was trying to project, was focus. People didn't necessarily see that. They kind of, I think people are trying to dissect this thing too much. We're looking too far into it. Tyson Fury got in his head, this, that, the other. I just don't buy that. I just think that he wants to be so focused on what's going in the ring. He doesn't want to be drawn, or his energy to be drawn away from that focus in the ring into a war of the words with past narratives, with past things that he said. I'm done with that. I'm focused. I'm fighting. That's it. So really, I think that's what his aim was. I don't think it had anything to do with not wanting to answer questions. If he wanted to, he would. Obviously, this was what he felt he needed to do to be focused 100% for this fight. So I think that's what the strategy was, not just simply an avoidance of questions, even though technically he was avoiding answering questions. So that's my take on it. Focus. I think that was the key there. The stare down that went on for nearly 6 minutes. I know people were timing this thing. I came out to like, about 5.5 minutes on the thing. Now the stare down, the fact that this thing went on for so long was tripping everybody out. I mean, I was sitting there twiddling my thumbs. I was like, okay, all right, who's gonna break? Everyone thinks that there's like this machismo, whoever looks away first, man, that's the one who's weak. We also can't stand there all day just staring at each other, because it becomes ridiculous after a certain point. And you got the sense at a few moments that Tyson Fury was feeling that, like, okay, this is ridiculous, but hey, screw it. I'll stay here all day if you want me to. So he obliged and did stay there with Deontay Wilder. Finally, if you notice in the clip, Malik Scott comes up behind Deontay Wilder, which kind of signals, okay, we're good, we're done, let's walk away. And that's when Deontay Wilder puts his sunglasses on and walks out. And you also hear someone screaming in Tyson Fury's camp, "We won the staring contest." Okay, I don't think there's a huge psychological edge in these things. I think that it gets overblown with the myths of previous fights. If we're talking Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, a lot of people that really try to use the stare down as a psychological tool. And I think they did it well, particularly Muhammad Ali. I mean, he had a way of getting into someone's psyche. Now, I think it's primarily for show. I don't think that there was really anything that either fighter gained from it. I think Deontay was trying to prove the point that I'm serious, I'm focused. You're going to see a different Deontay Wilder this time. Tyson Fury, I think, was just kind of like, hey, I can chill here. You don't bother me. I've beaten you once. I think I'm going to do it again, which he said. I'm gonna end this fight at least by the same time I did in the second fight. Those were his words, that he was going to steamroll Deontay Wilder like an 18-wheeler. And you know what? I think there's intrigue here, because we don't know, after all this time, what is each fighter bringing to the table. Can Deontay Wilder turn this thing around? Can he make the changes that he needs to make in order to be effective against Tyson Fury the second time around? We know that he's putting in the effort. He definitely is putting in the effort. It's definitely a different Deontay Wilder, I think, mentally this time around. I think that's what all these things signal. But is it going to be enough? I'll tell you, I'm certainly not going to bet against Tyson Fury, considering the last time I did. I thought, Tyson Fury was going to get knocked out. And I think he keeps proving everybody wrong. So I'm going to have a hard time picking against Tyson Fury this third time around, considering, the lesson he served the second time around. At least the lesson he served to me was, don't doubt me. That's when I'm going to prove you that I'm the best. But I think there's a big intrigue. I think there's a big interest. People definitely tuned in just to watch this press conference. People are talking about it. It's exciting. You're dealing with heavyweights that fight, that have put on 2 entertaining fights, and I'm anticipating that the third one's going to be great as well. So that's what you get. That's my reaction to the stare down. Don't look too far into it. Take these narratives that you're hearing from experts with a grain of salt. Again, I think people get a little bit too scientific with this stuff, and it's just, hey, let's just pick out what we can from it. Deontay Wilder has added focus. That's what that's the big takeaway here. That's where I think his silence comes from. I'm focused. I'm focused on the fight. I don't think it has anything to do with fear or avoidance. It's focus. Now, will that translate into a different scenario in the ring? That's a whole different question. And unfortunately, this time around, I've got nothing to base it on other than some training videos of Deontay Wilder, which definitely isn't enough. Tyson Fury, and one thing I'll say, said that he wants to weigh closer to 300 pounds for this fight. I don't know if that's wise. Yes, he weighed 273 the second time and it went well, but adding close to 30 pounds, that sounds a little like you're playing with fire. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. My 2 cents on that. So that's what I got. Thank you for joining me, and cheers.